Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Commissioner Evaluation Podcast. This will be a solo podcast tonight. It is probably going to be a little quicker than most of my 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hours with Peter Howard kind of stuff. It's just going to be going over the basic rule book of starting a Dynasty League. My people call it a manifesto, if you would say, because it's so long. But I've been playing Dynasty fantasy football since probably the mid 90s. So we've learned a lot. We've talked a lot. We've evolved a lot from different things that have come up over the years that we've had to plug into our rule books. So tiebreakers and people leaving the league and add new owners, expansion, and all that stuff. So we've come up with something that I think is pretty good. So here we go. Let me put some of this stuff up on the board. Oh, wrong one. All right. So let's get started. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen with my rules book, and we're going to go as section by section, article by article, and talk about just the things that you go into a dynasty league. Now, obviously, the first thing would be picking out the right website, the right host site. Some people like MFL, some people like Yahoo, some people like ESPN. It doesn't matter. Whatever you're used to, whatever you're happy with, whatever your league's happy with. Sometimes you need to adapt and find something better. Sometimes you need to just, stick with what everybody else likes, even though you don't like it. But every year, everything's about voting. It's not about you. It's not about them. It's about everybody. And just vote on things. Hey, let's try Sleeper. We've gone from ESPN to MFL to Yahoo, and we finally all my leagues are on Sleeper now. My home leagues. I find it's great. It's easy to maneuver. It's easy to change things. It's easy to find things. It's my favorite site as far as you know uh, usability, especially being on a cell phone all the time. I love it. But the number one thing is obviously finding a host site. Which if you're in fantasy football, you're probably tried a bunch of them as it is. Maybe if you're stuck with only one ESPN, try other things. Try new sites. You never know what you're going to find. You never know what you're going to like. Sleeper, I feel Sleeper has the best notifications when things happen. With ESPN, it takes 5-6 hours after. There's things that go on as soon as the big shots on NFL Network, or as soon as the big shots on Twitter, or anybody in the big shots in the fantasy football world. Whenever something happens, as soon as they say it, Twitter spits it out and says, "This happened, that happened. This guy got traded. This guy got hurt. This guy's out for the game." Sometimes they overdo it a little bit. Oh, he's out. They try to put a little drama in there, which is a little bit annoying sometimes. But their notifications are fantastic. If you have not tried Sleeper yet, I don't get paid by Sleeper. Obviously, I don't get paid by anybody. Nobody would pay to watch me. So I like Sleeper, so I'm going to go with that. But let's when you found a site that you like, you can start your dynasty league. I'm going to share my screen here. Share screen. Okay, so this is a league called 312 Dynasty Gurus. Was just named. It went from 3 or 4 different league names until we finally found something, and this is called the 312 Dynasty Gurus. Joe Galen won the league. He beat me by 5 points in championship game, which I didn't even belong being in. But hey, I'll take it. I'll take the second place money. But whoever wins the league gets to get the naming rights for divisions, for the league name, all that stuff. So this is 312 is city of Chicago area code, and then Dynasty Gurus, we're just Dynasty players. I don't think any of us are really gurus, but so here we do. Article 1 is a governing agreement. Conflicts. The provision of this agreement supersedes any conflicting provisions on the Sleeper site. That means there's something that goes on a Sleeper site that doesn't cover a situation that happened on Sleeper. This just says that, hey, what we have written here in our manifesto, our bylaws is what says the rules. So we'll revert to this. I'll revert to this as the commissioner, and I will fix any of those situations. Section 2, implementation. The parties will use their best efforts to faithfully carry out the terms and conditions of this agreement and to see that all players and clubs carry the terms and conditions of this agreement in full. That means everybody just agrees to play. Management rights. Clubs maintain the reserve the right to manage and direct their operation in any manner compliant by the league bylaws. You can do whatever you want to. You're not, you don't, anything that's in these rules, have at it. If you want to put, have your entire roster besides quarterbacks, all running backs, and just the minimum receiver, do whatever you want. Nobody cares. Just, as long as you're in the rules, go ahead. This agreement represents a complete understanding of all parties on the subjects covered therein, and there will be no change in the terms or conditions of this agreement without a 66% vote, unless to clarify the commissioner's intent. So anything that changes in here has to be voted by the entire league on the message board with a 66% vote. Effective date, this is the day it was implemented, so this is the day the league started. It's a brand new league, started last year. Got some local guys from Chicago that I found on a Twitter machine to join me. Super nice. I do all these home leagues, meet a lot of new people, and I have a great time in my home leagues. You should try them if you are not in any home leagues. We have a rookie draft coming up soon. We have a draft lottery. We'll cover all that stuff in this episode. So, player management, Article 2, player ownership. Each team has the option of keeping any number of and possibly all of their existing roster players for an unlimited number of years. This is in redraft. You draft, and it's a horse race. The first horse to win in that race that day, that year, gets it, and then everybody's just shuffled back into the player pool. In Dynasty, it's not a keeper league either. You keep everybody. You keep every player that you have on your team. At the end of the years, what I try to do is I try to fill up my IR spots so that I have the entire roster full, and anybody that I think I might like that's on the IR, I stuff them on my IR, just so I have as many people as possible. You can keep your IR players. Just do whatever you can to keep all the best players going into the next year. Even guys you're kind of like, if you got to dump a couple guys that you're not quite happy with, there's other guys in the waiver wire. In a 12-team, 30-man league, it gets a little bit barren, but there are guys out there you might have the inkling in that you want to, you might think might be a better spot for your league next year. Go ahead and grab him, put him on there. It's your team going forward for next 5 years, 10 years, hopefully 20 years. These are all your guys. Players that are kept are all optional, and final cuts lists will be declared before the new league year free agency period begins. We have go down to 30 players. After we have our rookie draft, it goes down to 30 players. So that means your IR has to be cleared. Your taxi squad's got to be cleared. Well, we don't have a taxi squad in this league yet, but your IR spot has to be cleared, and you only can have 30 players in your roster. Sometimes you have, because of the rookie draft, you'll import 5, 6, 7 more picks. Plus your IR might be, 5, 6, 7. Some people have 10 IR players. So you could be 16, 17 players over the limit after the rookie draft. And then 2 weeks after the rookie draft, you got to cut down to 30 players. It is what it is. That's too bad. Pick out your best 30. Everybody else goes back in the pool, and you start off scratch from there. As soon as that happens, you can start filling your IR spots again. But this is the cut list will be declared before the new league year free agency period. Any player who is not retained at the due date of the final roster deadline will automatically become available for the services of any team in the new league's initial waiver wire run. Like I said, as soon as all them people that everybody cut, 2 weeks after you cut them, we have a waiver wire open for the first, and it's a every day at a certain time, 2 o'clock, 4 o'clock, whatever it is. Every day people have a chance to get it's a daily waivers all the way until the season starts. And then when the players start playing, you get that same Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, and then first come, first serve, Thursday, Friday, all the way until the players play. Minimum roster requirements are there are 3 players less than the maximum roster limit, and those do not include the IR or taxi squad players. This is for people. We try to, not saying we don't like tanking, but it's not fair if somebody only has 10 players and we go by max potential points on Sleeper for the draft lottery. So I kind of make everybody keep at least 27 players on their roster. So max potential points are still adding up for guys. Now, people don't put guys on IR; they do a bunch of stuff. But the rule is you got to keep 27 players in your roster in a 30-man team. So, I try to keep it as fair as possible, but you can only do so much. Article 3, anti-collusion. We all know about this, but in redraft, it's kind of a bigger problem than in Dynasty. There's no trades. There's no trade vetoes in Dynasty. So, I mean, we'll get through that in a minute. But trade vetoes, you never know what's going to happen. Some people could trade, Dalvin Cook for, 3 second-round picks or so, and everybody goes up for grabs. That's BS. And then Dalvin Cook may break his, blow his knee out the next week. Anything can happen. In Dynasty, there's really no vetoes unless it's blatantly obviously cheating. Participating in any transaction that gives unfair competitive benefit to one club only to reward the other club with any type of non-competitive benefit or any type of transaction that are deemed irresponsible and underhanded will not be tolerated. Any team seemingly conspiring to commit collusion will be reprimanded. Penalties for collusion can be in the form of reversal, unfair transactions, or forfeit of draft picks on a minor level, and removal from the league if his drastic and reoccurring asset collusion continue. I've never had a problem with this, but it's got to be in the rule books. You got to say that these are the penalties in case somebody does something like this. So, you have to say, "I'm sorry, these are the rules." Uh, so you got to put that stuff in there. It's something that nobody wants to talk about, nobody wants to think about. You're playing on honesty, but it happens. Everybody knows it happens, so you got to do it. So I'm gonna go back to sharing my screen again. So penalties for collusion can be. We already went through that. These corrective actions will not be implemented without approval from 66% of the league. So even if somebody is colluding, and it becomes a humongous problem. Obviously, every time some trade happens, you get the memes, collusion. It's not always collusion, and that's why it takes 3/4 of the league to kind of say, hey, or 2/3 of the league to say, hey guys, it's not collusion. Relax. It's a little bit one sided, but for the most part, this is not collusion. We've never had a situation in any of the leagues that I've had where there's collusion going on. Right, where it had to even come from a vote. Everybody, bust balls and stuff like that, but it's really not a problem. Article 4, Taxi Squad. This is in case you start a Taxi Squad. And Taxi Squad, I have, you know, these rules are not permanent and will be amended and approved during year 2 rules meeting. So usually I like to start a league with 25 players year 1. So you have 12-man, 25-man draft. And then year 2, I implement a 5-round rookie draft, which you obviously you import 5 rookies, or sometimes if you trade picks, you can import 7, 8, 9, whatever, 100 rookies. It doesn't matter, whatever. You can be all 60 people on the draft. If you had all those picks, great. You're gonna have to cut them to 30 players, come 2 weeks after the draft, but it is what it is. Um, your your taxi squad is just rookies if you had them. But anyway, year 2 is a 30-man roster, expands a 30-man roster, and then year 3, that's it. We'll vote and see if maybe we want to do 33 or 35, but for the most part, 12-team 30-man rosters is it's pretty good. It's a pretty solid number for a dynasty with no kicker, no defense. Um, the league clubs may elect in any league year, in accordance with this article, to establish taxi squad not to exceed 5 players. You could do 10, you could do 20, you could do 50, whatever you want to do. Taxi squad players will be assigned to the taxi squad prior to the new league year. Once a player has been activated on any team's official 30-man roster, he is never eligible to return to any team's taxi squad again. No active player can be demoted on any player's taxi squad, or cannot be demoted to any team's taxi squad. That means once he's on a taxi squad and you bring him up to the majors, we'll call it, like baseball terms, he can never be. That's it. He's in there for you. Even if you trade him, somebody can't drop him down. You can't drop him back down. He's on the official roster. Players on NFL bye weeks are not taxi squad eligible. That's just in case, before the season starts, if you didn't bring anybody down yet, and they had obviously it wouldn't be a bye week 1, but any situation you cannot bring taxis. It's just verifying that. let's see. All rookie player positions are eligible for the taxi squad. Quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. They're all eligible. Players in the taxi squad did not count against the active roster. You have a 30-man roster and a separate taxi squad that's untouched by the number of players you have. Players in the taxi squad must be promoted to the active roster before they can play in a game. That's kind of obvious. You just have to bump them up to the active roster, cut somebody if you need to, but you can't. It's got to be done before the game starts. Players may not be moved to the taxi squad. May be moved to the taxi squad to the injured reserve pending IR eligibility, but then are no longer allowed to return to any team's taxi squad. Any player assigned to any team's taxi squad should be free to negotiate with other clubs. The existing club has 7 days to either negotiate a trade with the inquiring clubs, promote the player to the active roster, or lose the taxi squad player to the first team that made the inquiry. Inquiring teams must sign the newly acquired taxi squad player to their active roster. The player is no longer eligible for the taxi squad on that designation. Players in the taxi squad are allowed to be retained for as long as the club chooses to during the player's rookie season. There's taxi squad. There are rules in taxi squads that go beyond. I mean, there are. You can have 30 pages of taxi squad rules by themselves. So we haven't started one here yet. So this is just a basic frame of taxi squad stuff. Injured reserve, suspended. These are kind of obvious because they're in every league, but teams may place players on injured reserve after the roster deadlines have been met every year. Players are eligible for IR only if the player has been placed on the NFL's injured reserve. Players that are holdouts or that have been officially suspended from the NFL are not eligible for the IR. The league web page should reflect any IR designations that do not satisfy the requirement. The commissioner will correct any improper IR designations upon being informed. Note that the NFL does not officially release injury reports until Wednesday, regardless of when the media reports the designation. Players on IR do not count towards the active roster. Players on IR may stay on IR for the remainder of the IR designation, with the exception for player trades or being outright released. Players on IR need to be moved back to the regular roster when they are removed from the NFL IR due to being designated to return. Now, a lot of these sites will lock your roster. You can't make any moves until players are, off IR who are no longer IR eligible. I know Sleeper has that. So lineups will not be allowed to be submitted in violation of IR designation. Any pandemic or NFL approved absence due to life-changing illness that has designation from the NFL and Sleeper itself will be allowed to be placed on the C for COVID. DNR did not report because of COVID. Any other COVID or any other diseases that come in the future, it's already in here that says if Sleeper and the NFL agree to this is a stipulation of their playing that hampers them from being on the field, it's in here. Other designations will need to be voted and approved. So if something else comes up in the future, we'll have to vote 66%, get them on here, and then we'll add it to the. I'll add it to the roster, to the rules. As of now, the maximum allowed IR spots on Sleeper is 10. That will be available for every team. Any expansion will be voted on and possibly approved, deemed if necessary. All right, Article 6, free agency budget, FAB. The amount of now, some people use waiver wire still, even in Dynasty, people use waiver wire. They use there's a handful of different situations to do in our typical league, which I like, which all my league mates like. That's why it's in the rules, got voted and approved. We use FAB. The FAB for any league year shall be issued at $1,000. Now, some people say, "What's the difference if it's $100? What's the difference if it's $500?" There's not. It's all the same. But if I get a dollar guy, or in a $100 league, that's 1% of the budget. Same, I can get a $1 for a guy on $1,000 budget a lot cheaper. But when there's a good free agent up there, and one guy bids $327 compared to $328, and the other guy's $342. It just makes it a little better than the $257 or $32.34. It just stings a little bit more when you bet $324 and somebody bid $325 and knocks you off the block for the guy you want. And it tells you, Sleeper tells you what other people bid, so it's everything's up front, everything's on the page. It tells you what you did. So $1,000 budget at the beginning of each year. The FAB is the same amount for each club. All blind bids must be increments of $1. Minimum bid for blind bids and first come first serves are $0. So after first come first, after the $1 minimum fab budget is done, as soon as that's done, it's first come first serve. You can get a guy for $0. Conditional bids are allowed in the event of a tie in bidding. The first submitted bid wins. So if you guys both bet $324, the first person who bid $324 will get it. Application of the fab. The free agent budget is not a hard cap. Any club can have a budget that exceeds $1,000 at any time. So if you trade, well, let me finish this. Fab money can be included in any trade to sweeten the deal. Teams are not allowed to trade future fab money. Only transferable fab money is the remaining balance of any team's current year fab budget. So, like, if I wanted to trade, two guys, any of them, Calvin Ridley for Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley and $600 for Julio Jones, whatever somebody wants to do, you could do it. So now you'll have $1,600 in your fab budget if you're a fab guy. A lot of people don't even care about fab. They don't use it. They don't, they rather just wait for the waivers to go through and just get 0 bids all the time unless they absolutely have to. But you can have that. But at the end of the year, whatever you don't use, you lose. And it resets at $1,000. So if you want to trade your guys away and get $20,000 of fab, that's fine. But you're only going to be able to keep it this year. So that's not a good idea. Roster size. Beginning with the 2021 regular season, the roster limit shall be 25 players, 10 starters, a quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, 2 flex spots, which are running back, wide receiver, tight end, 1 super flex, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, 15 bench players, and 10 IR spots that are optional to fill. That means if you have guys on IR, you do not have to send them down to the IR. They don't need to be there. You can you can leave them on your 25 or 30 man roster, and they get to stay there. It's just as long as you have 27 people, that's all that matters. There's no limit to any specific positions on a roster. That means you can have 10 quarterbacks if you want. I mean, if you want to waste your roster spot with 10 quarterbacks, have at it. If you like running backs, or you got a whole bunch of running backs, I think I have 11 or 12 running backs on my roster. They're all garbage, but I think I have one good running back and a bunch of nobodies. You could do that. You're just hampering your tight end collection or the harvest of your wide receivers. But it's your team. However you want to build for the future, that's up to you. So, but there's no limit on. There's no you can only have 4 quarterbacks. You can only have 5 running backs. None of that stuff. There should never be any roster restrictions. Rosters will expand in year 2 to 30 following the 2022 rookie draft. Any further expansion will be voted on prior to the rookie draft every year, requiring a 75 approval to pass. Things like this, where you're expanding rosters, some people don't like it. They like small rosters. So that being said, these are important things to do, important parts of voting. So 75% approval is for a serious thing like this. It requires 3/4 league to vote. Article 8, expansion or transfer. So in addition to the addition of any new teams shall require the affirmative vote of 3/4 of the existing member clubs of the league. Any person recommended for the purpose of operating a fantasy football club shall be eligible for membership. That means we like to keep it where it's a guy that it's somebody that's recommended by other people in the league. We like to have somebody that somebody knows. It's in other leagues with people that knows is a reliable source to play. That's going to call lineups all the time. That's going to be answer trades. Be on the message board, answer trades. Send out trades, set the lineups. Somebody you can trust. To be in the league. So that's why we say it's recommended by somebody that's in the league already. No membership or any interest therein may be sold, assigned, or otherwise transferred in whole or in part, except in accordance with and was subject to the following provisions. So we got a couple rules here before if you want to leave, there's some things you got to do. The application for sale, transfer, or assignment of membership or any interest therein must be made in writing to the commissioner. Upon receipt of the application, commissioner is empowered to require the applicant, and the applicant shall furnish such information in the franchise setup portion of the league website, including name and email address of the owner, so I can get a hold of him and interview him. take to see their experience level, the price to be paid for such sale. If somebody's selling their team because they got a stacked team, or their team is absolutely garbage. They're like, hey, listen, I'll pay you to take this team. I want to know that kind of stuff. Are you just dumping it off to somebody, or is this team going to win money for the next 10 years? It's so stacked. This guy's just going league to league, stacking up leagues and then selling them. It happens, but it's just in these rules just to cover that ground if it does happen. It hasn't happened yet. My team will never be there. I'll never sell my teams because they probably will never be that good. But upon receipt thereof, the commissioner shall conduct such an investigation as he deems appropriate. Upon completion thereof, the commissioner shall submit the proposed transfer to the members for approval. Together with this recommendation and the information in respect that the commissioner deems pertinent, all sales transferred assignments shall only become effective if approved by the commissioner. When everybody says it's okay, I get the final approval, or whoever the commissioner is gives the final approval, and that's it. It just, you don't get somebody in the league that's, going to cause problems, or somebody that everybody doesn't like. It's good to have these safeguards in your league just in case. Voluntary withdrawal and involuntary termination is Article 9. Any member of the league may withdraw from membership by selling, assigning, or transferring its membership upon terms and conditions set out in Article 8. Any club may voluntarily withdraw from the league by tendering its written resignation to the commissioner and simultaneously surrendering its franchise, making full payments for any and all league dues. If you just leave and you owe money, or whatever, if you're behind in dues, you're like, I can't afford this league anymore, or I don't want to be here anymore, that's fine. But if you owe money, we expect you to pay that. I don't collect money a year ahead in advance. These are all home leagues, so we kind of know everybody. There's never really a problem. Haven't had a problem yet. These people all live around here. We have in-person drafts and stuff like that. So, but it's a safeguard just in case. Any debts owing to the league, any assigning the league or its nominee all player contracts. So the person would take over your team. Involuntary termination. Membership in the league shall be automatically terminated whenever a team A consistently fails to participate in league activities and responsibilities, consistently fails to submit a starting lineup, consistently fails like a lineup that's not competitive. Like if they're just putting in guys to, they don't change your lineup, let's just say. So undermines league rules, league play, or the commissioner's office, agrees to collusion as defined in Article 3 of the rules. The effective termination. Upon the expulsion of a member or upon any involuntary termination or membership, a new owner shall immediately be chosen to and approved by the league. League fees. Each club league fee is, yours could be 50, 25, 150, 300. Must be paid in full at the beginning of every league year and before the annual rookie draft begins. Scores will not be calculated for owners still owing league fees after the deadline. Automatic losses will be assigned with no reversal for the penalty. That means if you don't have your money in and we're chasing you and chasing you and chasing you and the league starts, you're going to get an automatic 0. I will change the scoring system to 0. You can't even draft a rookie draft unless you turn your money in. This is just a safeguard for the league, just in case somebody, a golly knows what. But if we have to get rid of somebody, the safeguards are in here for it. Franchises will then only be activated when all funds are collected and scores will be tallied. But those losses you took because your money wasn't due you're going to get zeros for those weeks. None of your points will score. None of your stuff will score at all whatsoever. So league fees are very important. Like I said, they're due at the rookie draft before the rookie draft. So this is never a problem, but they're in here. Transactions. FAB budget exists for the purpose of waiver wire fairness. All transactions will be free of charge and included in the league fee. Any type of freezing of the waiver wire and multiple ad drops or any other transaction felt unfair or dishonest by the owners will be reviewed and revised. So all transactions are, some people like to charge 50 cents for trade or $1 for trade or $1 for free agent, waiver wire move, stuff like that. It's all included. We got in this mess before where people ran up $180 tab on hurry up and transferring or doing 100 million waiver ads. That's fine. Some people like it that way. It's just easier for the commissioner and everybody else if it's all included in the original, unlimited transactions with your entry fee. Multiple ad drops and or transactions felt unfair and dishonest. freezing the waiver wire would be like if your Thursday night came around and one of the owners needed a quarterback that was playing, or and you went around and you just started picking up and dropping, picking up and dropping, picking up and dropping every possible quarterback that maybe even thought about playing, or name was even on sleeper. You can't do that. That's not fair. Like, if you're not going to have a guy on your team, let the other guy have a fair, competitive game. Don't just grab everybody and pick them up and drop them the whole time, or over and over again. That's not if you're not going to have them in your roster, leave them alone. Let the guy get a chance. I could see if you had room in your roster, or you drop somebody and you're going to carry that other quarterback for a week or two. Nobody's saying keep him forever, but you can't just pick guys up and drop them. That's freezing the waiver wire, as we call it. That's not allowed. I will whoever needs a player and got frozen out, if they inbox me or text me or call me and say, hey, I wanted this guy. This guy froze 20 quarterbacks. Give me this guy. I'll put him on the roster and I'll put him in the starting lineup with my commissioner situation or tools. So I could fix that. Transaction. Wait, hold on. Conference alignment, not draft order determination. So this is just for the conferences. The league shall be one conference. A conference shall consist of 12 teams. The conference will have 4 divisions with 3 teams in each division. Some people hate divisions. I love divisions, and we'll explain why as we go. Division names will be determined each year, the draft by the league champion. The previous year's results will determine the previous year's results will determine a year's division. So at the rookie draft, we'll talk about this. Division 1 will consist of the league champion, the number 5 seed, and the number 9 seed. Division 2 will consist of the league runner-up, the number 6 seed, and the number 10 seed. 3 will be the number 3 seed, number 7 seed, and the number 11 seed. Division 4 will consist of the 4 seed, 8, and 12. That's all for fairness. Now, we changed this year because this is what we added. It's in red on this sheet right now because it was added after the original bylaws were set. The league will have a divisional snake draft to determine the new division opponents each year. Worst seeded division winner gets the first and last pick. The best seeded gets the 4th and 5th pick. It's voted and approved at the 2021 draft. The draft. So we changed this a little bit, where we have a rookie draft or a snake draft for the actual people in your divisions. So the number 4 seed, or the number 4 division winner, which will be the 4 seed, gets first pick in the draft. So obviously all 4 division winners are in the draft, are picking. So that leaves the other 8 people in the draft. So obviously the guy who finished the least gets to pick, and nobody wants to be that guy that gets picked first. Like, that's the equivalent of being picked last in like a basketball game or something like that. It's just more of a shame thing. It's more, busting balls for the league. It's all in good fun. It's just something we added to for more camaraderie. The Toilet Bowl playoff at the end of the season shall be as follows. In the 5th place, the player game, the loser gets 6th place in the number 6 spot. The winner gets 5th place, number 5 spot. Loser gets 3rd place and gets the number 4 spot. Winner gets 3rd place game, gets the number 3 spot. Toilet Bowl runner up gets the number 2, and the Toilet Bowl champion gets the number 1 spot. Championship playoff bracket at the end of the season shall be as follows: 6th place gets the number 7 spot. 5th place gets number 8. That's important because in the upper bracket, you want the person who won the first wild card game to get. You don't want the person to tank that game. It's pretty important. Whoever wins that game, the first elimination game, gets the number 7 spot. If somebody was just to tank it, they get the number 7 spot by losing. But the winner of that game, it's round 2 of the elimination game, they get the 7 and 8 spot. So number 7 gets the winner of the first elimination game. It's pretty important. It kind of means a lot. Keeps everybody going in the interested pretty much almost the entire playoffs. So the winner of the 3rd place game gets number 10 spot. League runner-up gets number 11 spot, and league champion gets number 12 spot. Draft rules, order, and determination for an inaugural year and beyond. There should be an annual selection meeting or players draft every year with the following rules shall apply. Each draft pick will have a time limit of 90 seconds. Now these are all in-person drafts. So we have a person with stickers who, I pay for free beer and free food when they go up there and do it. I got this down to about 4.5 hours for a 12-team, 25-man draft. Each pick will have a 90-second pick. It never takes 90 seconds. When somebody's up there with a sticker book, or with the stickers, and everybody's got lists, and nobody brings magazines. Everybody's got their own list or their own or ranking sheet. They know who they're going to pick before their turn's coming up. They usually have 3 or 4 people marked out. It takes probably 15, 20 seconds at the most. Even if it takes 10 seconds, the entire room's being like, "Come on, let's go, hurry up!" Setting timers and like it doesn't take very long for everybody to pick. So that 90 seconds never ever had. Nobody ever exhausts that. But it's got to be in the rules. If your time's expired, you will be assigned the first player available in the sleeper bot player universe as at the day of the draft. Injured, retired, dead, whatever, you're getting them. If you took over 90 seconds, that's who you're getting. So that's in there also. That's the penalty for not having your whole 90 seconds. The, the year one draft order will be a serpentine snake draft that will include rookies and veterans. Write-in players will also be allowed that do not appear, or sorry, write-in players will also be allowed that do not appear on the sleeper player universe. The write-in players must be entering the player or playing in the NFL in 2021. Any write-in player that is not in the NFL franchise or practice squad at the start of the 2021 opening game will be removed from the roster. This is not a Devy League. So you can't have some kid in college who you got coming up. You couldn't take Trevor Lawrence 2 years ago or 3 years ago and say, I want him when he wasn't even in the NFL yet. Trading draft picks is allowed before, during, and after any draft. So next year's draft, only 2 years out draft picks are eligible for traded at any time. 2 years consists of the current and following year. So that'd be like this year with the 2021 and 2022 picks. No future picks will be allowed for trading during the true startup draft. Only 2021 and 22 picks will be allowed for trade. So after a couple years, when everybody's solid, they have their team there, and nobody's going anywhere, you could change that rule, which we did in other leagues already, to make it where anything available 3 years ahead, 4 years ahead is available on Sleeper. As long as you know you have a bunch of good owners there, you go ahead and change that to every pick is available. Rookie drafts. Year 2 and beyond, the draft order will be of the snake type. The draft order will be from 1 to 12 each round, and the only addition will be pick 113, 113. That will be awarded to the winner of the toilet bowl playoff bracket. So in our league, whoever wins the toilet bowl bracket gets the pick 113, sometimes 213, depending on what league we're in. It's a big incentive for winning. So everybody's trying to win the toilet bowl. That's pick one extra first round pick is humongous, especially for someone who's already going to have probably a first one to pick 1 to 6 that's in the toilet bowl to begin with. 2 first round picks is pretty huge. The year 2 and beyond drafts will only allow players designated for rookie to be selected in the rookie drafts. No write-in players will be allowed to be drafted who are not in the sleeper player universe. Those players do not fit the description. So those players who do not fit this description will not be allowed in they will be in the first wave of free agency. So if they're not in sleeper, too bad, you're not getting them. You have to wait to the free agency to pick them up, and then hopefully by then he'll be on sleeper. Rookie draft shall consist of 5 rounds, which each round consisting of as many selection choices as there are clubs. So that's 12. The first round is 12 picks. There should be a 3-minute time limit. There's only 60 picks here. 3 minutes, just in case. Sometimes people don't know all the rookies. They're asking around. They're doing research during the draft. So you extend the time a little bit. We're there for fun. We're not trying to rush people making bad decisions. Sometimes when you have a bunch of rookies in your head, and right before everybody knows it's what do you call it, sniped right before it's their turn. And when they get sniped in a regular startup draft or a redraft draft, you know who you're taking. Sometimes in a rookie draft, you have a couple guys pegged, and maybe 3 or 4 of them that you had pegged are all gone right before your pick, and you have to go on a computer, look up somebody. Not everybody is a Devy guy who knows all these guys coming in, so we give them a little extra time. Let's see. A drafted rookie immediately becomes a member of the said owner's team when drafted. In the event of a player being cut or if released through waivers at any time, including the start of the new league year, roster requirements, the player shall be treated as a free agent with the right to be claimed by any club at the time the player becomes available on waivers. Any player who has not been selected by a club or in a rookie draft shall be available after the completion of the rookie draft for which he was eligible to be selected by any owner. Shall then be available in the first wave of free agency. Draft order determination. Winners playoff bracket in order 7 to 12 in round 1. The final 6 order spots shall be determined in the outcome of the league playoff winners bracket. 6th place gets the number 8 spot, 5th place number 7 spot, so on and so forth. We already talked about this. The total bowl playoff bracket, draft order 1 to 6 in round 1. So we have a draft lottery. The number 1 to 6 picks will be determined at the league's end of year party with a lottery system. Non-playoff teams will be ranked by potential points on the mobile version of Sleeper standings page and will receive the lottery balls based on rank. The best team, whoever finished with the best team gets 5 balls. The second best team gets 10. The third best team gets 12. Fourth gets 15. Fifth gets 20 balls. And the last place team gets 34 balls. The total bowl bracket champion will receive the 113 pick, as we already talked about. The lottery system is just it gets rid of tanking. Everybody's trying for the 113 pick, but it's not guaranteed that you're going to win. So these lottery balls, you could have literally Scott Sidlow traded a lot of his team away in the first round. The first year he joined he took over an orphan for our team, and he traded. He had pick 4 or 5, and he had all these numbers. He had like 6. I think he had 65 of the 96 possible lottery ball chances, and he ended up getting 4, 5, and 6 instead of any of the 1, 2, or 3. So you're not guaranteed to get anything with just with those the numbers you have, the more balls you have. It just adds another element of fun to the league. So it's something you should try if you don't do it already. Round 2 and beyond, draft order will be assigned based on potential points for pick 1 to 6 and playoff finishes for pick 7 to 12. It's just how you finished all the way through. After the first 6 ones are draft, 7 to 12 and 2, 3, rounds 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all how you finished. The commissioner, the league has selected and employed John McGlynn, myself, to serve as commissioner of the league. The commissioner's office has made every effort to provide comprehensive and fair rules. However, due to the unusual level of complexity in fantasy football league, the commissioner may make changes to this rules as needed to preserve the integrity and intent of the league. I'm not going to make any changes without people voting, but it's in there just in case something had to be real fast, COVID situations, something like that, whatever, if we couldn't get a vote together. All decisions will be made by the best interest of the league. If need be, the commissioner will take a vote and members to determine the rules change. Commissioner shall have full, complete, and final jurisdiction authority to arbitrate any dispute involving 2 or more members of the league. So if there's some kind of argument, some kind of situation, any kind of whatsoever, and it can't be, if it ends up being a tie vote, and I'll have the final vote. I'll have one extra vote if it has to be that way, and say, no, this is what's going to happen. It hasn't happened yet, but it's got to be in the rules just to make sure if it does come up, it's covered. The league has selected 2 co-commissioners. You always want to have a 3-person panel. So I have 2 co-commissioners to assist in any possible league-related activity that cannot be conducted in a timely manner. I said, please contact me with any issues. These 3 commissioners also have the special assignment of final resolution of problems that cannot be resolved and to any prior league measures. So we'll have, if there's a situation that's really, really serious and it becomes a tie, and I don't want just me to say this is what it's going to be. I'll have myself and 2 other people, and I don't know what it doesn't say who voted what on the first one. Me and 2 other people, the co-commissioners, people who are hopefully have the best interest of the league in mind, are the ones that make the final decision. So had to get a drink there. All right, the schedule. Each club plays the 2 other teams in the division twice. Once at home, once on the road. They just come up as home and away games. These games will be played in weeks 1 and 13. I'm sorry, 1 and 3 and 11 and 13. I like to keep the division games because they're so important in the beginning of the season and at the end of the season. These are games that are really, actually, it's league 12 to 14 now because the games changed, the schedule changed. But these you don't want to have all your guys injured and then have to play one of your division opponents in week 2 and then week 5 or something. Yeah, I have to manipulate all these schedules every year to make this happen, and it's kind of a pain in the butt. But I'd rather have where if I don't have Saquon Barkley in the beginning of the season, and hopefully he'll be back by the end of the season, and you'll have a fair competitive division game versus your opponents So if your team's banged up at the beginning of the season, maybe his team's banged up at the end of the season, it's only fair that way. Each club plays other leagues' opponents once. So after you play your each division players twice, you play everybody else in the league one more time. These games will be played various weeks. It doesn't matter when you play as long as you play everybody. So we had an amendment here. Week 1 will be a divisional play-all. So that means that each division has 3 teams in it. It's 4 divisions of 3 teams. Whoever scores the highest gets a win. Whoever scores the middle gets a tie. Whoever scores the least amount of the 3 teams gets a loss. That is on the schedule. It shows up as I manipulate the schedule. I manipulate the scoring for a couple teams to make this a win-loss tie. So at the end of the season, all 14. The extra week came into play this year. This was our version of fixing that situation with a divisional play-all to start the season. I thought that was a great idea. We weren't really sure how that was going to fly, how it was going to go over. It worked out really, really well. I'm glad I did it in all my leagues because it ended up being a lot better situation than we could have dreamed. It actually, I lost by a tie to get my division, which cost me my division 4% of the pot and my bye week, which is 4% of the pot. So I lost 8% of the payouts by having that bye week, which I won, but the other guy got a tie, and he ended up having one less loss than me. So it is what it is. It ended up biting me in the butt, but it's fair. That's what it's all about. The playoffs, the 2 division winners with the best records will be 1 and 2 seed. 2 division winners with the 3rd and 4th best records will be the number 3 and 4 seeds. And the wild card teams will be the seeded number 5 and 6 with the highest scoring, with the highest seeding going to the teams with the most points for that did not win their division. Sorry about that. So it's sometimes you don't want the teams in the playoffs who just have a better win-loss record that are just got lucky. You want the best teams in the playoffs. So I think the teams with the most points for at the end of the season, the West wild card should be the best teams, which will be the teams with the most points for. They you know how that works. Some teams you can have the best team in the league that scores the highest point score that goes 0 and 6. So I'd rather just have the highest point scorer in the playoffs. We all voted on that. We agreed to it. And the number 1 and 2 seed is going to bye in the first round of playoffs. The number 3 seed will be the number 3 seed will play the number 6. Number 4 seed will play the number 5 in the first round of playoffs. Number 1 seed always plays the lowest remaining seed, no matter what, playoff bracket. Playoff brackets will be reseeded weekly to adjust. So the lowest seed always plays the highest seed throughout the playoffs. The 2 remaining winners will play each other in the 3-1-2 Bowl, which is the Super Bowl championship. The 6 remaining teams will compete for the Toilet Bowl championship in the losers bracket and the first pick, number 113. We talked about that already. So, division of the pot. The league entrance fee will be, like I said before, $10, $50, $500. It is what it's up to you. All monies collected at the end of the league season will be placed into the pot. Each division winner will make any kind of penalties that were decided. That all goes in the pot. Each division winner will make it to the playoffs. Will be awarded 4% of the pot. If you won your division, you're getting 4%. So 4 people are getting 4% of the pot. In addition, both teams secure the first round bye. Only in the winner's bracket will get an additional 4% of the pot. Wildcard teams will not receive any awards, monetary awards anyway. The remaining monies in the pot after division winners awards, possible league draft party expenses, like if I had to buy a draft board, that's $20, $25, whatever. Anything else that I buy a ring out of my own pocket every year for the I put it on Twitter before. It's on my timeline and go through there. But it's a ring I have it made. I get it from Etsy. It's pretty cool. I could write whatever you want on all 4 sides. Your record, the team that won, what our league is called. So you can write whatever you want on there. They're pretty cool, customizable. 1 million people have them. There's all kind. It depends on what you want to spend, how nice you want to do it. Some people like trophies. Some people like belts. I like rings. It's instead of, hey, give me it back, I got it engraved. You take what you got this year, and that's your championship. And you can wear it to the draft. You can be Tom Brady with 18 rings in your hand if you're that good. It is what it is. So as a result of the remaining monies will be in the pot after division winner awards, possible draft party expenses, draft board league transaction fees, any other expenses as a result of league function and then the award shall be as the whoever won first place gets 70% of leftover money. Second place gets 25% of leftover money, and the third place gets 5% leftover money. So it's just a little something. I don't want to have 18,000 payouts of $8, So this makes it where people who won actually get some decent money. So and then you have to have a tiebreaker procedures. Division champ with the best record, division champ with the second best record, division champ with the third best record, division champ with the fourth best record, the wild card club with the best record, wild card club with the second best record. The following procedures will be used to break ties, standing ties for postseason playoffs and to determine the regular season schedule. Note, the games count as 1/2 win or 1/2 loss for clubs. Tie games are 1/2 win or 1/2 loss. They're not a full win, full loss. I think we all know that works, but it's got to be in the rules. To do a tiebreaker division, these tiebreakers go extensive tiebreaker rules. I mean, there's literally 3 pages of this, that, and the other. We know how that goes. But if there's a that you can read them on here. Go back. I'll put them on my page. They'll be linked to my timeline on Twitter. But what you got to do is the first thing you got to do is put a playoff scoring tiebreaker up. So in your message board in your league, each playoff team will submit a player on their roster to act as a tiebreaker. This is in the playoffs. This can be any player on the roster at any position. Player needs to be timestamped on the Sleeper website message board prior to the beginning of the chosen player's game. So it can't be somebody. It's got to be somebody that's on your bench. Obviously, if he's on IR, you're not going to play him. He's not going to score any points. But it can't be somebody in your starting lineup you're already starting. It's got to be somebody on your bench. It needs to be timestamped before his game. So if your third quarterback was Russell Wilson and you have him on your roster, but the game started already, the 12 o'clock game started already, and Russell Wilson already played, and you don't have him timestamped before the game starts, Russell Wilson can no longer be your tiebreaker. You have to pick somebody else who did not play yet as a tiebreaker. The player needs to be timestamped on a Sleeper website message board prior to beginning the player's game. Total bench points is the second tiebreaker in playoff pairings. In the event of a tie game, a tie with selected tiebreakers, and a tie in all combined bench spots, a coin toss will be determined to determine the winner. Lowest seed team will be awarded the call of heads or tails. The commissioner will conduct the coin toss. So that's just in the playoffs. That's how the playoffs go. But to get to the playoffs, there's literally 7 pages of tie-breaking procedures, A through G here, and all this, that, and the other. And if this guy's, grandma wore sandals today, it's all covered in there. So it's a lot of reading. I'm not going to go through it on here. And then Article 19 is a scoring. It's determined in what's on Sleeper website. I'm not going to write down each individual scoring on here because it doesn't matter. Nobody's going to come to this page for scoring. It's on the Sleeper website. There's nothing to supersede here to say like, oh, this is this or this, that. Anything punch in the Sleeper is what the rules are. So if you want to refer to scoring rules or lineup rules or something like that, it's all on the Sleeper page. You can find it just in the settings, roster, settings, scoring, setting anything. You can go back 3 or 4 leagues before if you want to, or seasons before if you want to, and look up any of that kind of scoring. So that was it. I just wanted to kind of cover what my bylaws look like for a league in case anybody ever wanted to start a league or start a dynasty league instead of just a little redraft where everybody just picks players and it's thrown back in the shuffle. This was I just wanted to put it out there, something to talk about, something to yap about. I had some time today. I just got in the Campus Canton League today. Jeff Bell inboxed me. I was kind of yapping about it. I was kind of nervous about joining the league, but he reached out to me and I got in the league, and we've been in there for 12 hours, and there's probably been 7,000 back and forth messages about Taco Bell and what foods are better in Arizona, what foods are better in Wisconsin, what foods are better in Michigan, Ohio. Everywhere these people, everywhere everybody's at. It seems like it's going to be a really good league, and there's 2 drafts on that one. This will be my first Campus Canton League, so I'm super happy about this. I'm super happy about it'll make me a better dynasty player, make me a better redraft player in leagues like the Fishbowl or the European Fantasy Football Contest or the Gaelic any of the leagues out. I was in 19 leagues last year, so um, hopefully these it'll make me a better player all around by doing that, by being in those leagues. So thanks for tuning in today. Thanks for listening on the podcast. If you listen tomorrow, um, you could find me at John McGlynn on the Twitter machine at John McGlynn75. I'd like to thank Nick Script for letting me use his this YouTube page on the Nick Script family of podcasts here. Thanks for letting me use this to yap about things I like to do in fantasy football. And I will see you next week with a guest who has not been determined yet. If you ever want to be in a podcast, the Commissioner Evaluation Podcast, my off season is going to be. I'm going to start going over some other rules that people play in different leagues, what they like to do, and then we're going to talk about trades that happen in my leagues, in my all of my 8 home leagues, trades that happened over the off season, and we're going to start picking some players out that they're kind of popular, or on Twitter they're kind of trending. uh you know uh there's been a couple players in the playoffs that are pretty hot topics right now. So we'll go through trades and what the value is, what we think we should trade for, what just look and see what's fair. So tune in. I'll catch you later, and thanks for listening. Have a good night.